Because that seems to be the logical place.
I thought it was.
It is, and I guess, from our view, one of the reasons why we didn't recommend progressing with the cycleway on Selwyn Street north of Morehouse is because you've got a really good level of service immediately to the west, which will connect up Grove Road through into the park, assuming council chooses to approve the shared path through there, and immediately to the east, as part of future projects, you'd get a cycleway, major cycle route up Antigua Street. What those two don't pick up is the desire line from Selwyn Street shops up, basically from Brougham up through there, up to Morehouse and across. So, but that would only be a local cycle route that we'd be proposing there. So if all these things come to pass, it will be a hugely improved level of service for cycling within the city, from that area, because you will get two major cycle routes, and they will connect them with, basically the Little River Trail or the other one which goes to the south.
Thank you.
So I guess the question then is, what amendments do I need to make? Because if I look at Antigua Street, the cycle lane isn't really, just from the detailed design that we have, it's not separated off-road. It doesn't really look like a substantial cycleway. So can I move that we make it a more prominent cycleway?
Through you, Madam Chair, the Antigua Street cycle route has Hagley Park. Those are the two key cycle routes shown in an accessible city, whereas Selwyn Street would only be a local cycle route connection. The project before council today, TP1A for Hospital Corner, are those interim early changes to the streets in this area. Transport Project 1B, which is actually the bulk of the funding for the upgrading of Antigua Street and the other streets council's looking at today, would be the subject of separate consultation, and the intention at that stage would be to deliver those fully separated cycle facilities on Antigua Street. So this is interim works today. There are the bulk of the upgrading work still to come.
So the major desire is to put cycles into Antigua rather than Selwyn.
Absolutely.
That's
Selwyn
correct,
remains a local.
and from Grove Road across into Hagley.
Yeah.
But as the staff point out, the desire line for people coming from the hospital is through Selwyn Street.
Got that?
Sorry, can I just be clear? Because the sheets that we have show intersection improvements to Antigua Street. Are you saying that that's not funded? Or that's not part of this today?
No, as I think the consultation booklet makes clear, there are a further stage of improvements to come to these streets. This project is currently around 1 million of the 9.3 million scheduled for Transport Project 1, Hospital Corner, which is summarised as. And so, there would be proposals in future for further enhancement to that Antigua Street route.
Okay, and that becomes the major cycleway.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a list which I put somewhere really. So who's next, Pauline?
My question was, is the brewery car park full at the moment, do you know?
We've certainly heard it's pretty busy. I don't have the exact numbers, but we hear it's been well utilised, and the shuttle from there to the airport is working really well. So.
To the airport?
I mean, sorry, to the hospital.
What a good idea. Might try it out.
So that's been well utilised.
It'd be nice to know if it still had capacity, though, for another 14 car parks. I'd say it probably would.
Look, I think there's 900 odd there, so there's every chance.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
I think the concerns around parking here are probably more focused around business premises closer to Morehouse Avenue, where there are considerable shortages of parking availability there.
Pauline, Tim, were you next? Yeah.
Thank you for remembering. Following on from Ellie's question, had you thought of getting the parking between north of Morehouse Ave on Selwyn 60 minutes, so those long-term parks or all-day parks would change, the whole nature of that parking area would change, because the argument from the businesses is those parks are for their clients, who obviously would come in and out and be gone within an hour, surely. So just to change the nature of that car parking?
I think there's a wider piece of work that needs to be done, because the land uses throughout the central city have changed, and there's a need to go out and look at a lot of the on-street parking.
Thank you.
Okay, did I leave somebody out? Dave?
Yeah, what I was just going to support Ellie and others about the development of the networks on either side. We've got the Hagley Ave cycleway, possibly Antigua Street, and I think it's a bit of a folly to start doing things in Selwyn Street, particularly when we don't know what's happening over the other side of it, on the southern side. So I'm not going to support that part of it.
Okay, unless there's any further debate on the Selwyn Street one, because we've got clearly a range of views. Phil, this is the amendment that puts the cycle lane there instead of the current 14 or 16 car parks, just so we're clear what we're voting on.
I think there are also some other changes on 6.86 and 6.87
Okay, but
and 8.2, but that's a major one.
Let's just get to the guts of it. Is there a seconder for this? Pauline? Right. And can we, we've kind of debated it. Are we okay to vote on it now? Right. Okay. Can we vote on essentially this recommendation, which replaces the current car parks in Selwyn Street with a cycle lane for that part of Selwyn Street? Okay. Can I perhaps, if you're in favour of it, could you say aye?
Aye.
If you're opposed? No. Can I just have a wee show of hands? If you're in favour? Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're, that's the cycleway? Yep. If you're in favour, sorry, go again. If you're in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit.
The vote. You did the casting vote.
That is great.
No, I didn't vote.
We're going to ask you to vote.
I didn't vote. I don't have a
That's
custom.
great.
Nobody has. Nobody has. Yeah, no, I haven't voted at all because I actually think there's and I heard the submitters, and actually what I would do, I agree that the desire line is down there, but I think just going like that to the businesses is too tough. I think what we should signal is that the parking stays for a limited period of time and then goes. So.
The following that, Vicky, we could, I guess, move that the parking be put in on a temporary basis.
Yes, that's
or
where
a trial basis.
That's where we actually got to at the earlier committee, that the parking stayed for a limited period of time, and that the signal was clear to the businesses that this would be replaced with a cycle lane. But I think just doing it overnight was a bit vicious on them. So
I think it's been indicated in the original plan, but however.
yeah, well, that's where I was going to move to.
It was referred to today. But.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if we could get to some sort of compromise like that. This would allow the businesses to plan for the fact that their parking changes, and I think it should become short term in the meantime. Yeah. Yeah.
To give people a chance to change the way they're doing things.
So can I suggest, just as a way through it, that the parking stays for a limited period of time, maybe 1 to 2 years, you can pick a number, and that it becomes time limited in the meantime? Yeah? Well, the reason, I actually agree with cycleways everywhere, as we know from the debate the other day, but I also agree that there are 2 very good cycleways either side of this, so this does need to allow for those businessmen that came in were as passionate as the ones that came in today. I'm not wanting, in the middle of a hospital rebuild, to completely destroy their businesses for them. So I appreciate that there is huge pressure on this area at the moment. For a year, okay, so we've got the Tim part in here, but the council signals that it will be removed for local cycleways. In the meantime, the parking becomes time limited. Is that okay?
Sorry, can we have an order?
That's up to council.
Well,
How brave you are, Paul.
no, it's not about bravery. Let's just get this through. So what do you want? 1 year or 2 years?
Can I just?
Yep.
The staff said that the cycle lane was going to be put in within the next 10 years. So if we're going to say take parking out for a cycle lane in 2 years, but the planning for that cycleway could be 10 years away, that's a wee bit odd, isn't it? I'd say could we review it in 2 years?
Okay.
Just giving them good head.
Okay, so the parking remains as it is for no more than 2 years. Council signals that this space will be required for a local cycleway in the future and will review this parking provision within that 2-year period. Is that okay? Okay, Andrew, then Ali.
I've got a question and then I'd like to make a comment. The expense involved in changing, potentially going with one programme and marking the road and changing the car parks and so on, and then going back in, say, 2 years' time and changing all of that. What's required in terms of any further consultation or just the expense in the road markings and the signage and so on? I mean, this is actually another piece of work that we're creating here, isn't it?
No. It's just
It's
science.
through you, Madam Chair, yeah, it is another piece of work, and I think what we'd need to do would be to review the parking there. We'd have to go out and consult on it, because there's an obligation for us to do that, and we'd have to bring it back to council with a recommendation as to whether to change the parking from long stay to short stay or something like that.
Okay.
So nothing's ever simple.
Okay, sorry, just can I follow up on that, Andrew? Is it just the time-limited nature of the parking that needs consulting on, given that you've consulted on whether this becomes cycleways or parking?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so if we say that the parking remain for no more than 2 years and that the council signals that the space will be required for a local cycleway in the near future, full stop, does that require any additional work?
I think we might have to come back for the cycleway per se.
In a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, at the moment, is the only bit that you would have to go back out to people on the time-limited nature of the parking. Do we really have to consult on that?
Yes, in the short term, Madam Chair, I think we would need to consult over the change to those parking control arrangements there.
Okay, so if we left them as they are, but just limit their life to no more than 2 years without time limiting them in the meantime, do you have to do anything additional?
I think we would probably need to freshly consult then over the implementation of the cycle lanes.
In 2 years' time?
In 2 years.
Yes, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just worried about not doing.
And I guess that
That's
would be
fine.
under Accessible City, and the funding for that, if it was part of the Accessible City network, would also come under that plan.
That's fine. So we're putting a cycleway there. We're just not doing it this weekend, right? So those businesses can adapt and change.
But if there was a need to go back out and consult on that, is that what I'm hearing? There's a need to go back out in 2 years or whenever we decide to put the cycleway there, that would be a new proposal we would need to consult on again.
I think that's my view. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that recognises the comment or the point I was about to make. What I'd written down here recognises the fact that, a lot can change in 2 years. The stakeholders, the owners of those businesses may in fact be different people. So the view of the existing business owners and the view of the business owners at that time may well be different. The circumstances may well be different. To make a decision now about what we think might happen there in 2 years' time, I think leaves us on reasonably shaky ground in terms of the existing consultation. So you've reflected that in your answer. But what I'd written down here was do it once and do it well, provide certainty, and of course the people of the city and the business owners, regardless of what the answer is, certainty is a big part of their considerations, and provide future opportunities. So I'm actually not in support of this amendment for those reasons.
Right, Ali.
The concern I have with the amendment is it says for no more than, and I think that's really painting us into a corner. I thought we had discussed the possibility of putting the word review in there so that it could be reviewed in 2 years, but I do not see the logic behind setting that in concrete when you may not have a cycleway to join it to for up to a decade. Okay,
so can we just suggest that the parking remain as is for at the present, to be reviewed within 2 years?
Remain the same as in
Well, the parking suggestion in here was originally that it remain the same, because that was the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee. Right.
Can I point of clarification, please?
Yep, whatever you like.
If this
Yep.
is, like, I seem to have moved this, but.
No, it will change that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if this is supported though, does that mean that the original recommendations in our agenda, that they would apply? And that
Yes.
some of what's up there would change? In
So
terms
the
of-
original recommendations did indicate that, didn't they? Because the Infrastructure Committee had listened to those people and actually suggested that their parking should remain for a period. Is that right?
The ones in our printed agenda indicate that.
Is that right?
Sorry, I missed the question, sorry.
So I'm assuming actually all we either have to do is pass Phil's amendment, which changes that into cycleways now, or go back to where we were in the recommendations that are before us from that committee, which actually left the parking as it was in the short term.
That's correct.
Right, so we don't need any of this amendment.
The amendment signals
Phil.
that we'll review it in 2 years' time, and the council was proposing to put a local cycleway in there, which just gives direction to staff to go out within a couple of years and go through that process.
Does the what's in the agenda, does what's in these recommendations signal that?
No.
Doesn't.
I think what we had in the original recommendation to council was that the parking remain.
Okay, so
And
this,
the track changes version that you got up there would say
that the
bring in
parking goes.
cycleways.
Right, okay, so the parking remains for a shortened period from what was in the original proposal from your committee, Phil. Yeah,
So you're going to put the other proposal up first?
which other proposal?
Well, the one that's down in,
No, this is a further amendment. Is this? No, we haven't got an amendment. The amendment wasn't carried,
okay.
right? So this is a further amendment that I'm happy to move. Is somebody happy to second? Paul will second. Okay, so this is different from what's in the paper in that it signals that the parking will go, or signals that the parking will likely go. What's in your paper leaves the parking there. Okay, so this is a halfway point between, what's that?
I'll take myself off because I'd rather leave the parking there. But this is an amendment to actually review it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so you don't want to second it. Is there a seconder? Otherwise it's just going to lapse. Okay, Tim seconds. Tim seconds, yeah, Yanni.
I'm still really unclear about Antiguous Street and the timing of the works. So is a cycleway going into Antiguous Street as part of this decision?
Okay,
like
can we just
our
get that
diagram?
answer for you, Yanni? Likely time
So-
frame for the cycleway in Antiguous Street.
So this is TP1A, it's just getting the traffic moving in the right direction. We're designing TP1B now. We hope to bring some initial drafts of that for Christmas or early next year.
Okay, thank
So
you. So the cycleway in Antiguous Street, assuming it all goes ahead, would likely be there in,
Well, soon we'd have to go through a consultation process, et cetera, so sometime next year.
right.
but haven't
a
we
year
just
or so.
done the consultation? Like you're putting a new
No,
intersection?
no,
That's
they've just
for
answered that,
1A.
Yanni.
Its funding is
Just-
within this first phase programme
Right,
of an accessible.
thank
If you turn to page 359 and look at TP1A, new intersection, Antiguous St Asaph, Antiguous St Asaph traffic controls, etc. TP1A, Antiguous Street to Hagley Ave. So I'm still struggling to understand why Antiguous Street is being done, like what is actually being done later, given we're being asked to make recommendations on Antiguous Street today. I don't understand.
So this is simply, TP1A is simply the getting things going, getting them on the ground. TP1B, as Tim mentioned earlier on, is the substantive nature of the work. That's changing the curb and channel in certain areas. And one of the things we want to do is work closely with the hospital over that whole area and ensure that any further works are integrated with what they're proposing, because they've got a huge schedule of works in that wider area, and we don't want to rush ahead to put in infrastructure which isn't going to be appropriate. So-
Okay, can I just suggest a format for which we'll put this amendment in a minute, and then unless there's any, if this fails, then we'll put any other amendment anybody's got. Otherwise, we'll revert to the motion that's currently before us. Okay? So can I put this now? Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Declare that carried. Is that fair to do? Yep. Okay. So can we reflect that? And so now we've dealt with the parks on Morehouse Ave. We've dealt with the Blind Institute, Karina's submissions.
I understood that was being noted by the staff and that that could be implemented.
We've dealt with the shared cycleways and that they stay as they are. The Selwyn Street parking or bus lanes. And I didn't think there was going to be a lot of traction on the timing issue. So I didn't think you'd want to debate that. And is there anything else, or can I put the motions as amended? You can, yes, you can do that. So I'm going to, Phil's going to move the motions as amended, and Jimmy's going to second. Okay, any debate? Yanni.
Thank you. I appreciate that staff have done a lot of work on this project. I appreciate that there are some possible benefits for this project. But I just want to remind councillors that we've got huge budget shortfalls. We've got about $80 million of money we have to find for the traffic or the accessible transport plan that we still haven't budgeted for. There's $200 million more of works that we have to do that we have no idea how it's going to be funded. And that isn't even on top of the considerations we've just been through in the last few days around our capital works projects, let alone what we need to do with our own cycleways. And I just want to remind councillors of the diagram that we saw of all the broken roads and broken pipes that are not going to be fixed because there's no funding, there's no money on budget. So ask yourself, if you have limited financial resources, is this the best spend of the limited money that we have when there's other things that need to be done in the city? In my view, looking at all the different considerations, is no. This is not good use of our money. This is a project that has very little skirt repair. So actually the opportunities that we should take as a priority are to align with the skirt repairs. We've already lost that opportunity for Kilmore and Salisbury Street. It's got nice brand new curb and channel, but we've spent not a cent on doing the transport plan enhancements that are in this plan. That's extra money we have to find because we didn't take that opportunity. We cannot afford to keep spending money in this way. So I would say that fixing the broken water pressure mains that have been put on hold, fixing the broken roads that are leading to things like flooding, and fixing the wastewater that is leading to things like raw sewage going into our rivers should be a priority. I don't buy the argument that this has to be done to support the new bus interchange. The new bus interchange is going into the middle of a broken city, a city that is going to be a construction zone. If you just think of the health precinct and you think of the metro sports and you think of all the development and construction that is happening in this specific area and the demands that it will have on local parking, the demands it will have on the streets, why would you spend money now making these changes rather than wait for that to happen, then come in afterwards when you don't have the same financial pressures, when you've got the majority of that work done, and then you would actually put in these changes. And the final point I just want to make is that I believe this traffic is going to make this the inaccessible city. You can't just do these bits of the transport plan in isolation from the wider picture. And I think the congestion that you're going to see from these proposed changes is going to be astronomical. I do not believe this will enhance the city. So I urge you not to support this today. It should be deferred. We should wait till we have the full transport plan funded before we consider what these priorities are.
Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Do you want it recorded? Yep, we can do that. Sure. You want a division? Sure, we can do one of those. We haven't had one of those today. Yep. Okay, if you're in favour, would you please do your magic on the machine?
I don't think they're all working.
You don't think they're all
I don't think all
working?
the machines are working.
That's a good scheme.
Well done.
Do you want one too? Because some people want their vote recorded for posterity.
And it's not, that's put in the minutes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. However, if you're requested for a division, you can. Anyone may request a division. It's been requested.
But in all honesty, if you say I'll have my vote recorded against,
Yes, yes.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yes, that's true. It's absolutely true. Yes, and I will just remind people that the speaking time, unless you're the mover of the motion, is 3 minutes. Okay, right. I'm assuming it went through, did it? What happened? Glenn came back. Okay, vote again, guys.
No, we've done that, haven't we? No, that's the third one.
We've done it twice, have we? Okay, whatever. My hunch is that the vote is everybody in the room for, except for Yanni, who's against. Yep, right. Okay, good. Right. I think that's the end. So we've passed that, haven't we? With those amendments.
Yep.
I'd get out of here while you can, actually. Thank you very much, guys. And Jenny and the team for the consultation too. Go home and enjoy the weekend. Item number 30.